Hello, welcome to Free Grace International. I'm Lucas Kitchen.
And I'm Shawn Lazar.
And Shawn, I was thinking today we would talk about the Metaverse.
Yeah, what is the Metaverse?
Well, it's a Bible verse that is just a little bit meta. No, that's not it.
No, that's not it.
So Mark Zuckerberg is not the only one to have thought of this, but he is kind of taking a lead role in creating, in a sense, an online world. Now, It's still sort of in development, and there's been precursors that have tried to do this. You mentioned one before the show, Second Life.
Second Life. I have vague memories of Second Life, and we checked it out, and it still exists.
Still exists. Don't know anything about it, but if you look at the images, it kind of looks like a video game. But apparently, it's a place where people go. But
so that's what it's like a video game, right?
In a sense,
but you're playing. You are in this world, and it's like you're living out a more or less normal life, or you're living a second life in this kind of virtual world. Is that what it is?
Yeah, you have an avatar, so it's a reflection of you. Avatar is a Hindu origin, right? Isn't that a Hindu?
Great movie by isn't that?
Yeah, also
by what's his face?
He's going to come out with
James Cameron.
A second one, The Way of Water. Looking forward to that.
But
so the Metaverse, and I think the interesting thing for us is to talk about church in the Metaverse, because it brings about all kinds of possibilities. But before we get there, I want to kind of put on the journey what your church experienced during the pandemic and all that was.
Okay.
So ours was that in the studio here, we were actually building our studio around the time when the pandemic hit, and about maybe a week before the pandemic hit, our studio was kind of ready, to live stream. We had already started to live stream an online Free Grace church, and we had a few, but then when the pandemic happened, it was kind of set to go. And we thought, this is the new wave of what church would be like. And we did it for about a year, and I don't think it's the new wave of church. I mean, I don't feel that way now. Now, there were some real positive outcomes, and we did what we could at the time, but it started to feel like this might be an excuse for not getting together. And I was seeing that there's a real difference in the level of accountability you have when you're in person. Like, if you start talking to me right now, Shawn, I'm not gonna walk away from that conversation without there being a high impolite consequence.
Right.
But online, we're used to just like close the browser and I'm done.
Out of here.
And that's really different when you're trying to grow spiritually. So what was y'all's experience through the pandemic?
Well, we're in Texas, right? And Texans are just a little bit different from the rest of the world. So everything was shut down in March of 2020. And I think in May of 2020, the governor said people can. It was Mother's Day. It was Mother's Day weekend. And the governor said you can meet if you're crazy enough to meet in person. Well, we all just met in church. So we were out of church for about 2 months. So we continued to meet in person. But even during those 2 months when we weren't allowed to meet, we just met with our friends anyways and still worshiped together. So I never really tried the online church thing. I was just meeting in person with other Christians. But I'm curious about the Metaverse because I don't think it's off the ground yet. I don't think Facebook has implemented
I don't know where it is. They're developing some technologies that will play a part in it. Don't know.
But you know for sure that this is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Absolutely.
And more and more people are going to live their lives through this kind of virtual world. And someone out there is going to be like, let's have churches on the Metaverse, and that's where we'll meet as church. And so that got me thinking, I mean, is that a healthy trend? Is that a good thing? Do we want to see that happen? Or is that something that's actually going to maybe hurt the church in the long run? And I have to believe that it's gonna be a bad thing. If that's becomes,
just your default.
That's
it.
It's gonna be bad.
Oh, come
on. I'm a Luddite. No, I think if you're
a what?
A Luddite. Do you know someone who's anti-technology? No, I'm not anti-technology. Here I am talking.
That's
on
a
YouTube.
camera right there.
Yeah,
Are you okay with
there's
this?
A computer right
We're
here.
on the Metaverse right now. Do you realize that?
Yeah. No, I think there's a good use here, but it's not a substitute for actually meeting with other people face to face as a community. It's just not. I can see it being good, like almost like a wheelchair ramp is good. It's good for some people to have that there, because some people won't have any other option than to worship online.
Yeah.
So maybe for them that will be good. But for most people, I think you need that face-to-face interaction. I think you need those hugs. You know me, I'm a touchy-feely guy.
You're a toucher, yeah.
I'm a crybaby too, but I'm a touchy-feely guy. I need that hug.
Yeah.
And if I don't, I can't get that on the metaverse.
You can't yet.
Well,
I don't know for
sure. Put on my glasses and just
but
pretend.
I don't know for sure that you'll never be able to have something that it is a synthesis, it's a simulation,
Yeah.
but I don't know that you would ever, I mean, I don't know that there's never a point where some type of haptic interaction online couldn't be a legitimate stand in that. I think we're still a long way away from that.
Right.
But let's just say we put you in a full body haptic suit.
Yes.
And you could not tell the difference between a pat on the back and an avatar pat on the back.
Okay. All right. So
would that be a stand-in?
Okay, let's think about that, positive and negative. So what are some positive things that you could still get if you were meeting in a metaverse church?
Great question. If you're a words of affirmation, no problem.
Still getting
You're
words of
that.
affirmation. Are you still able to hear a sermon if you're meeting in a
Yeah,
metaverse?
you get teaching.
You can still get that teaching.
Yeah.
You can still have a Bible, in front of you. So you're still getting fed by the word, okay?
Bread and cup.
You can't do that. You're not going to be able to celebrate the Lord's Supper, but you're not going to be able to eat with other people, right?
Yeah. Well, so what we did during the pandemic is we would say, okay, we're going to do Lord's Supper tonight. Get your bread, get your cup, and we would do it together,
Right.
but not together.
Right.
And I don't know. It was a mediocre stand-in. Of course, for a lot of people watching, the screen's this big. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But what if it was legitimately a full immersion system? The question really is a philosophical question of what is the value in the experience? Is it your perceived experience, or is it actually being physically there?
Well, how about this? Can you actually take care of real children in a metaverse church? You can't, right? Your children are going to be in your house, and maybe you'll have avatar children that somehow you're interacting with.
Yeah,
it's not quite the same
That's
thing.
a pretty solid point.
It's
a pretty
like
solid point.
when you're talking to a child about Jesus, you don't want to do it through the medium of something like virtual reality glasses or whatever they're wearing. There's something, you're with a child and you're just discipling that child. What about feeding the poor? Can you feed the poor through a metaverse church? You can give them a digital loaf of bread or something, but you're not actually feeding them, right?
If they're on the metaverse, I don't think that they're. I mean, I would assume they have a device.
Yeah.
Go sell the device, buy you a bag of bread.
But let's say someone.
No, those are some good points.
Right, but
Those
let's
are
say
some good points.
someone has gone through some trauma, like the trauma of losing a loved one or losing a job or whatever, and they're feeling very, they're just broken and they feel hurt. Can you counsel someone like that over the metaverse in a metaverse church?
That feels possible.
I think that's possible.
Feels possible. Yeah.
I think that's possible. So I'm not saying there's no ministry can be done there.
Yeah.
But I am saying some ministry cannot be done there.
Yeah, some of the personal touch, the things that need that personal touch, we are a long way from that even being a possibility.
Right.
Though, I could see a hybrid where you have elements of a church online with some type of local congregating body, small groups or something where that personal touch is that.
See, that's interesting.
I don't know.
Maybe that's a possibility because maybe that's the better way to think about it. Some things can occur kind of among people online, and then you have that personal component as well. But what about this? How about one of the biggest problems in the churches today? I think you'll agree is there's a lack of accountability. There's a lot of people just visiting churches anonymously, especially mega churches. You just go in, you never meet anyone, you leave, you're totally anonymous, you make no human connection. Do you think being in a metaverse church would help or hinder that?
I'd have to think about whether what you just said is not what I want. Because I think when I visit a church, okay, so there's what I think of, there's like this dividing line between extroverts and introverts. When an introvert, like myself, visits a church, I want to do it kind of quietly because I want to observe. I don't want to be swamped with all of these handshakes and hey, brother.
Right.
Some people feel different about that, though. Some people walk in and their biggest complaint will be, nobody talk to me.
Right.
I don't go to church so that somebody will talk to me, I don't think. I go for some other reason. I think because I'm obeying what I think Christ wants me to do. And so I'm kind of an introvert curmudgeon on that front.
Okay, well, let me build on that. And let me agree on that. So let's say, as a positive thing, typically, if you're a Muslim living in a Muslim country, you can't go to church, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But could you go to a Metaverse church anonymously?
Well, that's a good point.
Could that be something? Now they can go to church in the Metaverse anonymously, and they're not going to get any bad repercussions.
It does. Oh, so here's a whole new anonymous church allows for people to experience church and teaching without the possibility of without the threat of immediate persecution.
Right.
Now, at some point, any healthy church is going to encourage people to speak up about their faith.
Yes.
But there is some value in being able to, kind of look in and see what it's all about and listen to some teaching.
Yeah, listen and worship and hear some music. And
yeah. I mean, you think about like John 12:42, where it talks about the believers who were silent. They didn't talk about their faith. We don't want people to be that forever.
No.
But that is possibly one of the drawbacks of a metaverse church, is that it might encourage people to be even more silent about their faith, which is something we already struggle with.
Right.
Because you can do it in complete anonymity. And so that's an interesting point. There's a pro there, but there's also a con there that I could see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think we're probably years away from it being a really solid experience. I think we're not far away from something that is approachable for a certain segment of the society. I mean, let's remember here that this is probably only going to affect the upper 1% of the world until the cost gets down low enough. Like Meta's visor, I think they're marketing it at $1,500 American. So it's like, that's not the only thing you could get on the Metaverse with, but that's going to be their flagship premier thing. So,
but that's just a matter of years before the cost goes down.
It'll go down. Yeah, it'll go down, and then there will probably be haptic interaction pieces that will. Haptic means like you get some, like if you touch something, you might wear a glove where if you touch something, you'll feel something in the glove, or you'll feel something, on your, So I don't know. I mean, the experience. I'm actually hopeful that it could approach something that feels real. The main problem still is that you can log off at any point,
right? And
you lose the accountability,
and then you're out of there.
Yeah. But let me just say this: that even though you think someone's touching you, they're not. The electrons in the outer layer of your body are being repulsed by the electrons in the outer layer of their body, and there's no actual physical contact.
We don't actually exist.
Molecules.
What are what's holding these molecules together is a form that's recognized.
The metaverse, man. The metaverse.
We're already in it.
We're in it. This is it. Soylent Green is made out of people.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us on Free Grace International. Hopefully this was an interesting conversation. We'd love to hear from you. Put your thoughts in the comment section. I think especially on this one, because this is such a I don't know, such a subjective subject.
Are you looking forward to the metaverse? Are you going to be a part of it? Are you going to start a church on there? What do you think?
Invite us. If you have a church on the metaverse, invite us. We'd like to check it out.
Yeah.
Also, checking stuff out, speaking of that, go to freegrace.in to see all of the content that we do. Shawn's got a great show called The Art of Grace, a daily show. I've got a show called More to the Story, and we also have Free Grace Kids, which is a great podcast for your young ones that'll help them grow spiritually. We do as well a Bible study that is on there in podcast and video form. So we got all kinds of stuff for you to enjoy and grow. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with you soon.